Coming up in Jamaica Magazine.
I believe we have the capacity here to develop global businesses that can really transform our world.
Plus,
for the first 9 months of 2019, real GDP is estimated to have increased by 1.2%.
hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome. We start things off with the news of the day right after this important message.
So many wish they could visit our shores. We live where they vacation. Brand Jamaica beckons all from the four corners of the earth.
Well, as a Jamaican, I have great pride in selling it. Your pride that you sell Jamaica with is something that it rolls off. Jamaica has so much to offer, and every time I have the privilege of bringing an executive down to Jamaica, an executive from an airline or a tour operator or a travel agency, and you take them across the country, the pride that they said, wow, I can't imagine, especially when it's their first time. Wow, I love this.
Build it. Cherish it. Our wealth is Brand Jamaica.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, November 21. Jamaica and China have struck a partnership which will see to the construction of more schools and an uptick in technology training on the island. The Memorandum of Understanding was one of 7 agreements reached during Prime Minister Andrew Holness's recent 7-day official working visit to the People's Republic of China.
Through our partnership, the government will be focusing on technology training and building out more school infrastructure. Later this month, the Vice Minister of Education for China, Ms. Weng Tihu, will pay a working visit to Jamaica to sign an MOU in the field of education and to exchange views on strategies needed to prepare our societies for the future of work.
In an update to the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Prime Minister Holness said the MOUs were part of a new cooperation framework agreement under China's Belt and Road Initiative. He said greater efforts would be focused on increasing exports to the Chinese market to include live and frozen lobster and certain delicacies such as jackfruit seeds. On the investment side, Mr. Holness said government would not be negotiating any new loan agreements with China. Instead, future projects would either be joint ventures, public-private partnerships, or private sector transactions between Jamaican and Chinese firms. Jamaica and China also reached agreements in the fields of sport and culture and discussed future arrangements in airlift services and climate change. Parliament has passed legislation to merge the functions of the Heart Trust NTA with the National Youth Service NYS, the Apprenticeship Board, and the Jamaican Foundation for Lifelong Learning JFLL. The Human Employment and Resource Training Amendment Act 2019 was approved by the House of Representatives on Tuesday. It will now be sent to the Senate for its approval. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the merger will create an institution that will refocus all of government's training resources into one agency.
There is synergy from the merger of the corporate services of the 4 entities that are there, and that synergy would lead to better management of the treasury of the trust. And it will lead to greater synchronization and coordination of the allied services.
Jamaica is moving closer to achieving full compliance with global standards aimed at fighting money laundering and terrorism financing in our financial system. This follows the passage of 2 related regulations in the Senate recently. They are the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering Prevention Amendment Regulations, Resolution, and the Terrorism Prevention Designated Reporting Entity Attorney at Law Order, Resolution 2019. Both were piloted by Leader of Government Business in the Upper House, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith. She pointed out that the regulations seek to make Jamaica fully compliant with recommendations from the Financial Action Task Force's Mutual Evaluation Report, which was issued in January 2017. The report contained findings, priority actions, and a list of 40 recommended actions, 21 of which Jamaica is partially compliant with.
The regulations before us today will take us down the road of essentially eliminating our partially compliant status, or rather the elements which are partially compliant. These are technical compliance deficiencies, Mr. President, which must be addressed with urgency, and they must reflect a clear commitment to address our anti-money laundering deficiencies.
Over 2,000 acres of farmland on the Holland estate in St. Elizabeth have been purposed to grow produce for the parish's revitalized school breakfast program. The initiative will be piloted at Holland Primary School and subsequently introduced to other institutions. The breakfast program will also include the provision of nutritious juices made from locally grown fruits. Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, made the announcement last Friday during an Eat Jamaican school tour at Holland Primary.
So today it's to educate the students here and the wider community to say we are going to be assisting in providing local food within the schools for the children. We have seen the benefit. It has been proven here that it helps the children in their attendance and also help them in their grades.
The tour was one of several activities to mark November as Eat Jamaican Month. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, says it will be removing in excess of 70,000 dead electorates from the voters list this year, with a target of 200,000 by November 2020. This was declared by Director General Glaspole Brown while speaking on JIS's Get the Facts program recently. He said Phase 1 of the removal exercise, which was the verification process, was completed in April this year, and the office was in the confirmation phase. According to Mr. Brown, both processes have to be carefully done so as not to remove anyone who is alive from the list.
And the confirmation phase includes getting the burial order, the death certificate, a program, etc. Or some information from somebody who is in the know that the person have died. Yes. After we are satisfied that the person have actually died, then we go to the process of removing them from the list.
The next voters list will be published on November 30. And finally, Friday, November 29 is the deadline for persons to submit applications for the Child Protection and Family Services Agency's annual Take a Child Home for the Holiday initiative. The program provides an opportunity for families to open their homes to wards of the state aged 3 to 18 years old during the festive season. Persons who qualify for the program have the option of hosting a child for a day or the duration of the holiday period. Interested persons must fill out an application form. They are also required to provide 2 references from a notary public, such as a police officer, a justice of the peace, or a school principal, submit 2 passport-sized photographs, a valid identification card, and must be 25 years or older. For more information, interested persons may visit any of the CPFSA's regional offices across the island, telephone the head office at 876-948-2841-2, or email info@childprotection.gov.jm. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
The economy grew by 1.2% for the January to September quarter this year, driven by services industries. The Planning Institute of Jamaica gave the figure on Tuesday, as well as other contributing factors for growth.
We are reporting that our estimate for real GDP growth for the July to September 2019 quarter is 0.3% relative to the corresponding quarter of 2018. The projected outturn for the July to September 2019 quarter largely reflected the positive impact of increased domestic demand pushed by record levels of employment, increased consumer and business confidence levels, which spurred investment and consumer demand, and continued stability in the macroeconomic environment, which augured well for the business environment. However, further growth was tempered by drought conditions, which negatively impacted the performance of some industries, particularly agriculture, forestry and fishing, and electricity and water. The services industry is estimated to have grown by 1.2% relative to the corresponding quarter of the previous year, reflecting higher real value added in all industries. The goods producing industry was projected to have contracted by 2.1%, reflecting a downturn in performance in 3 of the 4 sub-industries. Manufacturing was the only goods producing industry estimated to have recorded growth. For the first 9 months of 2019, real GDP is estimated to have increased by 1.2%. This reflected higher real value added for the goods producing industry of 0.1% and the services industry of 1.6%. The industries which recorded the largest increases during this 9-month period were manufacturing, up 1.2%, finance and insurance, up 3.3%, and hotels and restaurants, up 5.3%. We expect real GDP for the October to December 2019 quarter to grow within the range of 0 to 1%, resulting in a calendar year 2019 projection within a range of 0.5% to 1.5%. For fiscal year 2019-2020, the economy is projected to grow within the range of 0 to 1%.
Are you a small to medium-sized tourism enterprise? Borrow up to $25 million at an interest rate of 5%. You can use the funding to develop and maintain your infrastructure, upgrade or increase your capacity, enhance and expand your attraction, tour or event, and purchase raw material. Call the Exim Bank and ask about the Tourism SMTE loan. Their numbers are 876-630-1400 or 876-618-5889. Tap into the over $3 billion earned yearly through tourism with a SMTE loan.
This week on OPM Connect, we look at the facilitation of growth and startups of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises by the government and the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC.
Hello and welcome to OPM Connect, the social media program that gives you a chance to understand what's happening in government with the programs and policies and activities that we have going on in government. I'm Naomi Francis, and today we talk about entrepreneurship. This week is being celebrated as Global Entrepreneurship Week, and so many young people especially want to become entrepreneurs. We have a very illustrious panel to speak with us about this matter today. We're joined by the Honorable Floyd Green, Member of Parliament and the State Minister in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Agriculture. We also have Ms. Valerie Vieira, the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, the JBDC, and Mr. Harold Davis, the Deputy CEO of the JBDC. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's get right into it. This week is Global Entrepreneurship Week, but a lot of Jamaicans want to be entrepreneurs and certainly have taken that leap of faith to become great entrepreneurs. Let me start off with Minister. What's the landscape looking like? How many entrepreneurs do we have in Jamaica?
Well, one of the things that we definitely have been focused on is to try and create an environment for more people to go into business. I think one of the things we know about Jamaicans, we have a massive entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely.
And we're tremendously creative. So I would say almost every Jamaican has this business idea. And our job is to try and translate that into an actual business. Different studies give you different figures, but we have estimated about 400,000 MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises. In fact, they form 90% of the companies that pay taxes, the businesses that pay taxes in our country, and they account for about 80% at least of our employment figures. So they are a massive part of our construct and a massive part of anything we shall do to grow our economy. What we still think we need to do more of is, one, create a greater culture that people are willing to take the risk to get into business. It is a risk. That people think firstly about what business they can go into instead of how they can become an employee. And that we have the support services, the hand-holding services, largely through our JBDC, to ensure that when they want to get into business, the government is there to guide them along that process. So we're saying we want to instill in our young people that, listen, you can become an entrepreneur, that the only way you're going to have employees is if we have employers.
Yes.
And we've done some changes in relation to our Bankruptcy Act. That was an important change to make it easier. We've done some changes recently in relation to removal of the minimum business tax, because it used to be that before you start a business in Jamaica, unfortunately, in the recent history, you would owe a tax. The government has sought it fixed to remove that tax so that you can focus your energies, forming your company, getting formalized, coming into our entities and doing business.
So the environment certainly is changing. Let me get then to JBDC and Ms. Vera. Certainly the JBDC helps to birth some of these businesses from the idea, and not just the concept, certainly to getting it to the market. Help us understand really the role of JBDC and two, your new project, the Jamaica Harvest Story.
Right. First of all, we talk about from concept to market.
Yes.
And all the in-between. So you come with your ideas and we help filter them. And then the in-between is the product development or the service development and the business, developing the business itself. And then the market would be our marketing services, our shops,
yes,
our e-commerce, etc., etc. I think that people underestimate that it was a bold step to establish a JBDC. It wasn't the sexiest thing to do at the time. But I think there was a recognition, as Minister says, that a lot of our development possibilities lie right in this MSME sector. And the government understood that we needed to develop that ecosystem that would nurture these new entrants into the commercial industry setting. And we, as he said, we have to work with the psychological part, because people felt the best thing to leave university with a resume to get a big job. They don't exist. So we said, instead of a resume, a business plan is more useful for you. Yes? And
using language that they really can
exactly
relate to.
And to
Absolutely.
demystify concepts.
Yes.
Research is not a PhD activity. It's about understanding what are the opportunities in the environment that you can plug into to develop your business. You know, so research is a key part, a foundation activity. And that business is not about big. It's about agile, how you can enter and move, as he says. Failure is just one step.
Yes.
It's a learning process. And we need to also remove that psychological thing that once you have failed, you are no good. It means that you're active, you're doing something. And the possibility of failing is there, but how do you manage that process? You know, so JBDC is there holding hands through that process and really linking in with other agencies, because we can't do it on our own. We say we are the national network broker. So we link in network broker for business development. Yes. So we broker services from the Bureau of Standards, 50% if you are our client, the Scientific Research Council, the Tax Administration, JAMPRO, all these agencies impact the development of an idea. So we are the national network broker for business development for MSMEs.
Brilliant.
So we both say we like that kind of, you know, kind of thing, that we're in the middle of everything.
Yes.
So this is what we do. And the Global Entrepreneur Week is really to highlight the contribution and the possibilities that exist in this sector. So we jumped on board 6 years ago because international is a global celebration. And 6 years ago, we decided we need to lead that in Jamaica. So we stepped in, and we have a whole week of stimulating discussions and presentations and so on.
I just wanted to get from Harold a sense of what the Jamaica Harvest Story is. And if you have products that some of the entrepreneurs have been successful with, let's know.
Correct. You know, the Minister and Ms. V spoke about the entrepreneurial propensity of our people, and the fact that we are naturally entrepreneurial. Our job at JBDC, part of our job at JBDC, is to make sure that you get to market successfully and you remain in market viably as an entrepreneur. And one of the ways that we do this is through clustering. We have recognized that when you cluster small businesses, they stand a much better chance of entering a market, of negotiating with a financial institution and so on, and for viability. The route to market for micro businesses is difficult, especially the route to market, especially the route to mainstream market. So Jamaica Harvest represents a clustering approach to provide a route to mainstream market for a number of our micro producers of food products. So Jamaica Harvest is owned by us, the brand is owned by us, and it really, in practical terms, it is a collection of a group of entrepreneurs, micro businesses, specializing in certain food items. Jamaica Harvest represents healthy living. Jamaica Harvest represents gluten-free products.
Wow.
Jamaica Harvest represents a high-end, well-packaged, internationally ready group of products. So, for instance, this is our sweet potato flour.
Sweet potato flour.
Yes.
Wholly homegrown in Jamaica.
Absolutely. I noticed the packaging,
Yes.
a packaging turn up.
Which is also part of what JBDC
Absolutely.
JBDC.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Packaging solution, branding solution, and so on is designed by JBDC. Now, the background to this is that we have micro enterprises producing this sweet potato flour. They produce, several of them produce, and we package, we give them the packaging solution, and then we provide the marketing channel for it.
Monitor for quality.
Absolutely.
Consistency.
Absolutely. So a major part of the journey had to do with the preparation of these micro businesses in terms of their production capability, their production facilities, and so on. And also negotiating with financial institutions for sensible financial solutions, sensible or appropriate financial solutions for this particular group of companies.
Very good.
That's what we do. We own several other brands like this with the same kind of philosophy, the clustering philosophy, new brand into market, an umbrella brand that goes into an international market with an international brand element, umbrellaing a number of micro businesses.
When they come to you, what happens?
Well, the first entry point is to understand what is in your head. What are your ideas? What are your interests? And then our business advisors would go through the steps of formalizing that into a business.
So they sit with you and work through from what you
that
have
process.
Yes.
We do what we call a business canvas.
Canvas.
Yes.
So you have the
You're
mapping
painting
and
a
the
picture.
canvas.
Right. You're painting a picture
Yes.
of what exactly is the concept. What are your markets? How are you going to finance it? What is your channel that's going to take you into market? Who do you need to cooperate with to get it going? And all of that. What sort of team, where the gaps exist, and how we can fill those gaps.
And how long is that process? Is it one afternoon they come to sit with you one morning?
I think it depends on how ready you're coming.
Absolutely.
Because we have more and more persons in Harry coming in more prepared because we are out in the field. We are field people, So we're out in the field prepping people. So when they come, they're much more prepared for the discussion. But it doesn't matter. Come from scratch. As we say in Jamaica, we scratch along with you until you get it.
So I'll just give each of you just a brief comment as we close concerning just the future of entrepreneurship in Jamaica, and especially to get our products out there. Harold, I start with you.
Well, we believe that entrepreneurship is the future of Jamaica. We believe that we are naturally entrepreneurial as Jamaicans, and what we at JBDC are here to do is to make sure that the viability of our entrepreneurship, of our entrepreneurs, remain high.
Miss Vera.
I know large business is on their minds, but guess what? In the new world, not the large that's leading the thing. It's the agile, which is usually MSMEs. Or you can move fast and wiggle in between the elephant. Yes, the elephant taking long to turn, you go in between the legs as a small business and come out. We're ahead of the elephant. That's what we live by.
Just take the chance, start the business.
Yes,
fantastic. And Minister, last word to you.
I would say, especially to our young people, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take the chance, take the risk. I know you have the ideas. I know you have the creativity.
And the energy.
And you have the energy. Try we're here to help. And I don't want them to just think about developing businesses that are for Jamaica. I believe we have the capacity here to develop global businesses that can really transform our world. So take the risk and join us as we celebrate Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really been our pleasure having you, and thank you from the JBDC, really. Sweet potato flour, though.
Yes,
that really, that has caught my mind already. All right, viewers, this has been OPM Connect. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Join us again next week where we may be in your area with the program, and we may even have a new face on. Join us then, and we'll see you next week.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
We've come to the end of the show. Catch us again tomorrow on this station. Here's a reminder to send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at gis.gov.jm. You may also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, Twitter. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.